Well, hello everybody and welcome back for the traditional Sunday look around at just about everything that's growing on here. And I have to say, things are looking pretty good this week. I mean, yes, I fought the lawn and the lawn won. That was a very interesting day. No, it doesn't make me hate the electric lawnmower anymore. Personally, it's still a great investment for what we paid for it. I mean, yeah, we got it for a third of the price. Whole big thing. But ultimately, after all that mowing and mulching, the tomatoes look better, the peppers look better. So let's just get on with it already and I'll show you what's growing on. I guess this week we'll start with the gojis. They haven't seen much screen time this year. Not a lot going on berry-wise yet, but I'm very hopeful, at least for this one. Still kind of thinking this one over here needs a new location. I mean, yeah, it's getting green and everything, but it's not anywhere near as happy as its companion. So, new location for that would be a good thing. These things are supposed to get like 13 feet tall and 13 feet wide though, so it needs to be somewhere it can be comfortable. No signs of ripening yet on these red currants. They're still looking very green and therefore mighty tart and bitter. Even I will avoid them at this stage, but I assure you, as soon as we see some ripe ones on here, I'll let you know. We've had some great growth on this year though, and much like those Hascat berries, the only thing I've really done to maintain it is last year I put a bunch of grass clippings around the base of it. This year I've cleaned those off. That's it. Again, no iron earth, no blood meal, no bone meal. Just plunked it into the Manitoba mud. And of course, hoping for the best. Just up from there is the hanging planter of tomatoes. Awful lot of flowers on this. Of course it gets windy as soon as I bring the camera out, but that shouldn't affect too many of these plants. There's a few dead leaves and branches on here. Most of those I figure are the growth from inside. And there's so much new stuff, it's just dying off. Kind of nature doing its thing, not too worried about it. I am blown away by the number of flowers though. Really looking forward to seeing what that produces. Finally got everything out of the box. The mouse melon is not looking terribly happy. It was the last thing in there, but I'm sure it'll work itself out in time. Just give it a couple of days, you know. Apparently a couple of days in a little water wouldn't hurt. Here's that zucchini I put into the little random urn planter. Seems to be doing alright. Got a lot of nice looking healthy leaves. A lot of new growth down there. And oh, look at that. That certainly looks like a happier zucchini start. Maybe we'll get something out of that. A few more short flowers in there. I think I see another one that already didn't make it. But, yeah, nice to see that guy on there. Alright, I need at least 2 zucchini out of you to cover the cost of your starter plant, so let's grow, buddy, let's grow. These 3 pepper plants in the soil up front all look like they're in desperate need of some water. But this matchbox at the end seems to have a couple little flowers opening up on it. That's promising. And then just up from there we've got the kale and chard row in front of the cabbage. I'd have to say the front row here definitely looks happier than the one along the back, but those cabbages will fill out. Do seem to be getting some very nice growth on the chard and the kale though. So that's kind of exciting. Yummy sort of way. I have to do some salad harvesting here in the near future. Ooh, or maybe some kale puffs. Substitute for spinach and you've got a very tasty treat there. Anyway, spinning around for messy yard, bag of tomatoes, and a row of peppers. So looking at the bush beef steak up here, in its bag I see 1 flower cluster, 2 flower clusters on there. Possibly a third, we shall have to wait that one out. But I am expecting good results from this. It gets excellent amounts of sunlight, so hoping for the best as always. I think it's just time to call it what it is on this yellow scorpion. I wanted it so bad, but that... not even I can call that a living plant. So we'll shake that one into the compost, I think, before next week's update. 2016 sand dollar seems to be putting on some good healthy growth. I'm still not thinking we're going to see any fruit from that this year. But at least it got to spend its last season outside. This is that hot Portugal we got from the Home Hardware. And I'm pretty sure A. Robin took the top of that off for me. It's never coming back from it. Suspect that one's going the way of the yellow scorpion, but I will wait it out a little longer. Here we have the, that don't look like habanero to me. Nice healthy looking plant though. You can see some new growth here, the darker green as compared to the paler stuff from when it was in the greenhouse. Also a Home Hardware plant. Then we come over to another hot Portugal. And what happened here? Crazy. All of the flower starts look like they just totally burnt right off there. I mean, I know it needs water, but that almost looks like a kid with a magnifying glass and an ant colony. Alright. Too much sun up here for peppers? How is that even possible? Ahi calabaza here. This has definitely grown taller. It is definitely forked, and looking in the center of that fork, we have flower starts. Okay, probably going to see something out of that this year. Ahi Huchapan. Oh, wow, look at that, eh? Got more flowers opening up on that. Plenty of peppers on here. Nice to actually see something so early in the season. Now, Lloyd was warning me, you might want to put some sort of a tomato cage or something around this because it's going to be productive. But did I? No, because it was too late. I'd already used them. And of course, the El Oro. I believe this is the first flower. We didn't get net around it. But that is the first pepper balm on the El Oro de Ecuador. And there are so many flower starts and open flowers, and whoa, this poor plant has been through so much and yet struggles on. Even last year put on good healthy numbers for me, so I could grow this in a single season and get a decent result. But having somehow successfully overwintered this, I truly think we're looking forward to a, what do they call it, a bumper crop from this one this year. Oh, very exciting. Very exciting. Got to start making some of those little net bags, but Shocks reminded me we do have the material for that. So I can, well, prevent accidental cross-pollination. And it was suggested that I should start selling some of these seeds, but I don't know. Got some decisions to make there. From the world of just plain fun stuff, the Saskatoons still have a lot of berries on them, regardless of the fact that the birds like to take at them a little bit early, continuing to get some color. And I was digging away, like I do, at the base of them here, trying to find a few to separate. And the roots on these things are crazy. So if anybody has advice on how to send bare roots through the mail, I think I could use that information. I'm going to try and send some of these off to a few friends. Here we can see some Saskatoons that are still getting a little bit more color. We're looking for that dark purple from the Hascat berries from these guys almost. But look at those numbers. Oh yeah. Shocks and I tried doing a little bit of a transplant here yesterday. These sad looking fellas are Saskatoons. And then we've set up a couple of spots for some lilies. Lilies? Lilacs. What's the bush? Lilacs. I think we're moving lilacs to these spots. You'd think I'd know the difference by now. Anyway, we've got the bottoms cut out of these buckets, and the plan is basically to let them start off with the protection of that, and then once they get kind of rooted in, we'll just lift out the bucket tops and the plant can just grow on, hopefully happy, strong, and content. A couple more Saskatoons here would be great. The lilacs, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's lilacs. In the middle there, you know, it's a break from the edible, but it smells delightful, looks pretty, a little bit more edible. And then we get a lot of water that pools here in the spring melt because we got the culvert here, so the Saskatoons should be able to benefit from that. It's all coming together nicely, slowly, but nicely. There have been recent conversations about letting Fuzzy build himself a half pipe for his skateboarding events in this little area here. Might be nice. It would be good to see this space get used. So give the neighborhood kids something to do too. There's really nothing as far as skate features here in town. Anyway, that brings us over to the tomato fields. Oh, Brother Troll, you're a funny man. In JT's fields, row on row. Yeah, twixt the mulch, the tomatoes grow. Anyway, let's take a look at a few of these. Much as I suspected, the transplanted lemon boys from those little tiny styrofoam cups. I mean, I'm still only 6 in, but they are all looking much, much happier. Let me think how wilty they were when they were transplanted, right? So that's 2. Looking over to the side here. There's another one. And you can just trust me, all 6 of them are looking pretty happy. We'll slide back from there to the unpronounceable tomato. This is such an interesting leaf. It's just reminds me more of a potato leaf. But that is a tomato, I swear to you. Sliding back here. Got some nice flowers forming on. What is this? Well, it's labeled as a red pear, so we'll find out. Nice little cluster there. Nice cluster starting up there. Seems to have split. Yeah, this might be a nice productive little tomato for me. Let's see, I know that one's a bush beefsteak. Let's look at some of these ones here for a change. We're right about in the middle of the forest now. Looking at another nice little cluster. This is one of the grape tomatoes. Shocks brought these home from the grocery, and I'm like, what the heck? You never know if seeds from produce are going to sprout because of the ways they treat things and GMO and all that stuff, but figured I'd give it a try anyway. Not only did they sprout on several occasions, we have a couple of flower clusters forming on this. They look like they're going to be fairly small tomatoes, fairly tightly clustered, so excellent. Nice paste type cherry tomato. And then we'll come over here to the indigo rose. Got a nice cluster there. These ones look like they're going to be a pretty decent size. It's kind of lost a little bit of its purpling lately. We've got a little bit of die-off from the earlier growth that was inside, but this is clearly doing quite well. And I do think, you know, the grass looks better around these than just kind of having the exposed tomato in the middle of the field. Should probably take a look at those peppers though, eh? So as we scan the pepper patch, there's pretty decent competition for best in class. We've still got, of course, the shining star amongst the sand dollar starts. That is a beautiful, beautiful looking pepper. But at the same time, we've got over in my shadow there, the Sugar Rush Red and the Sugar Rush Cream have both started to put on flowers. We got one of the ones that claims it's a super chili. You'll notice I say claims because that's starting to seem a little longer than a super chili was to me. You guys can let me know if that's what you're growing and I just remember it wrong because it's been a while, or what. But I mean, it's growing with super chili productivity, so that's great. So that's definitely a contender for best in class. And then we've got this ahi panic over here, which is, it looks small and tight, but it's got a lot of flower starts on it. That thing is trying very, very hard to be a productive little plant, so I'm not going to discredit it. Something about the bag of squash this week makes me feel a little bit more confident. We've got a nice cluster of growth here. That's the twofer, so I think that's the acorn squash, which means I think this is the baby pie pumpkin. I'd like to see something come out of that. And then of course, the spaghetti squash. We all know I'm desperate to see some spaghetti squash, but lots of flower starts, lots of healthy green growth. I think this just took a little time to get adjusted, and now it's back with the program. Takes us over to the bunker garden, where in an effort to do less weeding, I have thrown down some of the wood chips that I had. Plus it rained, so they were getting soaked in the ice sled and I needed to dump them somewhere. So it's kind of a twofer. We can see some flowers forming on this particular tomato, name of which escapes me at the moment. That's why I leave the tags in here. That is a bush beefsteak improved. Good thing it's got a cage and lots of space. See another flower cluster there that looks like they're going to be some suspiciously large flowers. That is very exciting. Very hopeful for the tomatoes this year. I mean, it's really not what I set out to grow. It's kind of a pepper and aquaponics channel, right? But it seems to be tomatoes this year. Celebrity hybrid. Look at this beauty. Flowers in the middle, flowers at my thumb, flowers off to the side, flowers down there. Oh, suckers everywhere, and for the most part, it's got space, so I'm just going to let it do its thing. It's time to come by and rip down the grasses again. Really looking forward to when we get a rabbit, so I can at least feed that grass to something. Lots of flowers on our other end tomato here. So, considering these guys had kind of a rough start, I think this is a Better Boy hybrid here, just for the record, those of you who are keeping track at home. They had kind of a rough start because a lot of the straw in here is not yet fully decomposed, so their main root section kind of went into that. It means I had to really, really soak this sucker down. But once I did, clearly the tomatoes are responding well to it. We have those Sweet Aroma hybrids in the Potato Now tomato box. Kind of a similar situation, so we'll take a look at those next. And again, it's a case of I really need to tear down the side grasses, but as the tomatoes are starting to establish themselves in here, they are doing pretty darn well. There's a lot of nice, healthy green growth. Got some flowers in this front one. And there's, you know, not a lot of actual soil in here. The rest of it is just lawn clippings. Upon lawn clippings, upon lawn clippings, and a couple of potatoes that were left in there from last year. So I'm really curious to see what this is going to produce. But as I keep mowing, I'm just going to spread it, put some more in the middle, spread that, put some more in the middle, keep filling it up. Hopefully we'll have this full of compost just in time to move it for a tree. And we'll probably wrap it up here. It's not the end of all the gardens, but this is the so-called leftovers bed. You can see where I did the Brussels sprouts, every second one, and then there's leftover kales and a couple leftover chard and a cabbage there and a random basil. And then up here, hopefully this will get bigger. This is a black zucchini. Yeah. Haven't actually grown one of those before. I'm expecting something really just kind of a dark green. Get this thistle out of the way. But I will be interested to see what comes of that. And the straight 8 cucumber finally getting around to working out, being a happier looking plant. So yeah, things are coming along. The almost turned under radish patch before we do go. A lot of bug damage from canola beetles, I believe it is. And I need to go through here and thin them out to about 1 inch apart, is about what I've decided. But they are doing ridiculously well, considering what a short time they've been up above the ground. I'm very pleased with that. Alright. And yeah, that is where we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you so much for joining me and sticking around and, well, being a part of my family in this garden adventure that I seem to be just constantly living in. Yeah, tomorrow is a Monday, so that is my me day. And I will see you Tuesday, probably looking at a Trolls Garden update. Tuesday Trolls Garden kind of works for me. I'll see you then.